Fausto Pugliese, president of Cyber Trading University.
Most people always focus on the past, where as a professional day trader, we just focus on the future. You can do very well in trading, and you don't have to have a good amount of movement for the stock to go up.
Welcome back, everybody. This is Fausto from Cyber Trading University. Welcome to the Cyber Expo podcast again. And you all, I got a very, very special guest. Everybody knows who I'm going to bring on. Josh Levitan, one of the senior instructors at Cyber Trading University. And, you know, I wanted to bring Josh here to kind of like tell you a little bit about his journey, how he came into Cyber Trading University, because a lot of us here started a new career and we didn't know where we were going. It's not like something you can go to school and learn how to do it. And he hasn't turned back, and he's been, the most popular instructor we have at Cyber Trading University. Everybody loves him. He teaches a lot of our classes. And I feel like not just talking about the markets, but more or less talking about what he's learning, where his journey has come. So Josh, thanks for being here. It's great to have you on. It's going to be a lot of fun, but tell me a little bit, I mean, you've been with us for what, over 11 years now?
Yeah, pretty much from like October of 14. And I remember it just because of exactly how you said it, just going from one profession to another. So, I started off, well, just say even a little while back, I'm 33 right now. So I came to when I was 22, turning 23, a young whippersnapper, they would say, right?
Yeah.
No, but really, I graduated from college at the time at Baruch. Even before that, I was at Albany, and you mess up here and there in your young adulthood. So I came back home back then. I went to college in Baruch in New York City, and at the time, I ended up jumping into real estate. So my first profession was doing real estate rentals in New York City, and conveniently enough, financial district.
Mm-hmm.
And conveniently enough, a step further, like the two main properties I was renting off of were on Wall Street, 63 and 67 Wall Street. So I never thought back then in 2012, 2013 time, actually, that I would be like trading, like doing stuff like Wall Street-esque stuff here, in the stock market, let alone teaching, right? And being with a company that teaches people how to trade. So pretty crazy story, I'd say.
Yeah, it was crazy. I remember you came in and we had that office in Syosset, and you basically, you were in with a bunch of people in the background. And I always told everybody listening to start from the bottom. And you got to know how to talk to people. You got to know how to, which, being in real estate, you have to. And, if you like it, we'll go from there. And yeah, look what you're today. You're our senior instructor here. You're teaching classes. Got up there really, really quickly. Everybody loves you. You're doing a lot of coaching and stuff like that. And it's just, it's been great. And you're in there in the morning, you're in the cyber group room, running the trading room with me back and forth. And like I say, you see a beautiful protege of you, what I was when I first got started. It really is a great job. I mean, trading really is a great job. And I think a lot of people here, Josh, have to, are making that transition and they don't know it's for them or not. It is a very, very big step. And like I told you, and like everyone else, I mean, hopefully you become so good, you'll go out and you'll teach other people. I mean, you work for me and it's a different story, in a way of other people, but being in a trading room, I mean, like once you understand the basics and everything else, you want to be able to share that knowledge. So, back then, what was your most interesting, how could I say, like memory of how, where you became from there till today?
It was probably from the beginning, I would say, just because, I started off as an education advisor, just kind of working with our students, just with memberships and making sure that they're off and running on the right foot. Just pretty much immediately, because I came into, CTU and I was hired by you with zero market experience. I didn't even know what a short was. So you told me go watch the Big Short. Of course I did, but and I read your book as well, mind you. But no, just to say that when I started seeing students, certain names back then making, X amount of money a day, you'd hear, 1,000, 3,000. You see someone at that time taking 5,000 on a day. It's like, that's incredible. Like, what the heck? I never knew I was able to do something like that. Where were they back in high school and college years back for me to, teach you how to do these things? So when I first was hired by you, of course, you didn't trust me at first. Like, you don't trust anyone initially. I don't trust, like right away, is this the right, is this going to be the right, job for me? Who knows? And maybe trading isn't for me, right? But once I started seeing the validity in it, seeing the program, obviously, but more, the proof in the pudding, certain names making money, it's like, all right, so I should be able to do this too, right? So
Mhm. Yeah, and you being there, you're trading every day with the traders in the room and working with them, and you eventually start branching out a little bit more. Like now it's not more just about the stock day trading. We're doing a lot of the swing trading, some options, and now with Bitcoin coming out, I mean, obviously becoming very very good. You're my Bitcoin guru when it comes in the trading room. I just listen to you. I mean, we can't be a master of all, or you're not a master of none.
Well, I'll
So
tell you what, there are students now, like students that we train or are in our room each day. They have their ear more to the market when it comes to Bitcoin than I do. Certain names in our room, like Alex Poe, he's our resident Bitcoin mining, trader
yeah.
and student. So I'll go to him on a lot of the more nitty gritty like news with Bitcoin mining. So to go a step further, like, hey, we all learn from each other, right?
Right, right. We all learn from each other. That's the whole idea. Part I always say is try to be like more of a family. Try to learn from each other and feed from each other. Because you don't want to like have that issue. I had the person I had yesterday, this John Cursor I had yesterday. He was a floor trader, and he made a good point too. Like he said, like you can't try to be a thief or steal or lie from somebody. Or cause I asked him, "Are there any fights that you guys have on the floor?" He goes, no, because every morning you got to see that same guy out there. It's like being on a football team. You might push somebody around here and there, but you still got to make up and make up because you know what? You want to be part of that group. I mean, so, they just won't pay attention to you. You'll just lose your money. So that's how the trading room became. And yeah, you become a very great moderator in the room and try to keep that police going on. Now, regarding about your journey with Cybertrade University, what have been some of your challenges that you've probably learned over the years that you wish you could have did better? Anything that come to mind?
Well, I would say first, I just want to make it, a note because when I started off, here with you as an education advisor years back, I didn't think that I'd be involved with the market, let alone even teaching, let alone even getting to the point where I'm at now with knowledge when it comes to trading and skill set. So it definitely took long hours, long nights, long weekends at times to go through the classes, to, become the teacher, to become the student first, and then to, become the teacher. That to me it just stood out as a challenge. Now, if you're asking as far as like what I could have done better or things I could be progressing on even more, ooh, very good question there, right? As far as trading, at least, it's always to make sure that you're in check with yourself, making sure you don't get too cocky. So, as Josh the trader, at least, I'll certainly say that because there are times where we all get too excited out there in the market. Oh, Bitcoin's flying up, right? Because obviously Bitcoin. So
Mhm.
if it's flying up, I might say, oh, it's going to go up to like 100,000 soon again. Well, maybe not today. Maybe it will do it next week or 2 weeks from now. But if I'm in on a day trade and I get a little too cocky, overzealous, and starts dragging back down, and I waste like most of my profits, it's like, man, I feel like a jerk, doing that. So you
Yeah.
always got to make sure you keep yourself in check as a trader. Uh, that's something we actually just went over in our class, just even on Monday, the other day. But otherwise, as an instructor, probably to make sure just you realize like what everyone's situation is just in general, because your situation is not the same as someone else's. So
Mhm.
everyone has different issues going on in life that prevent them from putting in the conscious effort that it takes to be a trader, to trade, to go through class, to go through the proper protocol, health, family, work, travel, you name it. So over the years, I've become very understanding. Like everyone's got their own situation going on in life.
Well, it's become and also a lot has to do with it is being a very good listener. I always tell everybody this that I mean we have a lot of students in here, uh, and basically taking courses with other people and so on. And I think there's a little bit of a challenge that you had in the beginning, and in something that you learned as you go on, and you don't know this until you start coaching somebody. But sometimes, like like even when you're teaching classes, like listen, we got to talk about the bid and offer, and I would talk to people like that, and people like, if you don't understand the bid and offer, I don't even want to waste my time with them. I'm like, you don't understand, like. It's amazing how people just don't understand. I mean, I'm learning that right now. I started a new venture, with Get Hens, and people asking me like some of the dumbest questions. Are like, and like, I mean, really dumb questions. And it's not a dumb question. It's just a reality. Someone asked me like, could I have the when I pick up the eggs, could the white ones touch the brown ones? Is that going to cause any? Can I get salmonella from that? They just don't get it, and you're looking at like what, like, and it's like us teaching somebody, like sometimes you have to teach the basics with these people, and I think that's some of those challenges that I've learned, and I think that's the challenge a lot of people here too, Josh, have, that they find that why they fail with other programs is that some people don't take the time to listen to them, and the way we've learned that is you doing coaching. You're a lead coacher at Cybertrade University, and sometimes some people are a little shy or embarrassed to say it in a group, and the instructor thinks that you are basically you assume that, but you can't assume that because until you talk to them, I mean, you'll see that. Let me give me any examples that probably threw you under, kind of made you like, wow, I didn't really realize that was so important. I thought you knew that. That come to mind.
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? For anyone that's a new trader in general, when you start learning about the market, you look at a chart, right? You just see a basic chart. It's very visual. The chart, I always like to say the chart goes from left to right. The stock goes up and down. It's not like it's doing a triple axle backflip on you, Michelle Kwan style, And so it's not as hard as it should be. And for anyone that has more experience, they'll tend to overthink things. And I just like to bring them back to the basics. Say, hey, this just had big support here, looking at it holding over this general area. Not every bar is going to touch the same exact price to the penny. So it's a matter of just saying, hey, if there's a clean looking level on the graph, I'll just use that and focus on, hey, when a stock breaks below support, it tanks, support should become resistance. So that slows everything down a lot more for us in a good way. It makes things easier to read. And for a lot of students that I first talked to, they don't as much go into that. They'll focus more on like doji patterns and hammer eyes and these like single candle patterns that are more technical analysis based, maybe good for swing trading or investing in general. But with trading here, day trading, it's a little complex. It's a little unnecessary, I'd say, at the end of the day.
Overkill too.
Yeah, overkill. That's it. That's the right word. There you go.
Overkill. You got a lot of it. Now, listen, we've all lost money in trading. Okay, we all made a lot of mistakes. And I know some of your trades that you've done that you got caught up, and a lot of people do. And the goal is it's going to happen to every one of us, and it's going to happen more than once. The whole point about it is that you don't make that mistake. So, what could you tell everybody here? Is something that people don't know about you, of a trade that you made a mistake that you wish you could have done better, or you learned from it, that you could share so they don't make the same mistake.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So as far as like trades that blew up, not like blow up is like a bad word to use, right? So as trades as far as like
there's a lot
going
of blow ups out there. We
trades that I definitely lost money on, not just like small loss, not just break even, but a trade like I would lost like $500, $700 on an option play earlier this year. It was GameStop. So GameStop, I traded the stock and I traded the option. I went break even on the stock, thankfully, but otherwise the option I lost a decent chunk on. I just thought that it was going to hold better. It never did. It kept kind of dropping off a bit more. It was off to a good start, but then obviously it lost its wheels and came back down. I think that we all got caught up back years ago with the GameStop situation with Roaring Kitty, right? And we made a bunch of videos, both you and myself, on that. So we know the potential it has, right? So you don't want to take a tiny little win because if it explodes much higher, you're feeling like a jerk saying, oh, well, I knew that was going to happen. So I was looking for the larger hit. It didn't work out. It happens. But that's just where you say, even at that point, you don't want to hold on forever because who knows what's going to happen to the future, right? I just simply didn't know at the time, if it was going to work out. You just got to give up, though. That's the thing. And I learned that not even with that trade. And that's just a recent example. 4 years ago, about 4 years ago, 5 years ago with Bitcoin, the last major bull market, the cycle that we had.
Yeah.
I don't know if I told you this number, Fausto. Maybe I did, like at one dinner, like years back. I don't recall, honestly. Maybe I did after a little while, but at one point I was up like $270,000 in my crypto account, and I blew a good chunk of that. It was based on derivatives. It was based on leveraged trading. So there's a liquidation price, and if Bitcoin's not pushing up at the time, there's a chance that you could be down a decent amount pretty quick. And at that point, I just never, I wasn't as fond of using stops. So especially in that position where I was more green in the market 5 years ago, I knew my stuff. I was dangerous, but I wasn't as disciplined. So that's what led me to blow up a good amount of that money. Thankfully, I still had some left and going back on the up and up with Bitcoin, at least now, but certainly not at that price, not at that amount. But that was the lesson that I learned the hardest. That was the thing where I got crushed on.
Some come to my mind that you didn't bring up. I'm shocked you didn't bring it up. How about AMD?
Oh, the missed opportunities. Okay, well, the missed
Yeah.
opportunities. Yeah. So, I was going to give you the ugliest of the ugliest there as far as, losing money there, but missed opportunity. All right, let's get the screen sharing here if you don't mind. I'll show this one for the crowd. I'll show this one here for the crowd. Give us a second here. All right, so AMD Fausto, you love bringing this up. Now, I should have known that it was going to get tossed in here. I should have known. All right, so let's go back even more because with AMD, I started with you in 2014. So this was long, long while back. Did you guys know that AMD was like a $2 stock? $1 stock, maybe even at times. Look at that.
Was it? I don't remember that.
Crazy. It was like one of the first memories I even had just with you, like when I first started trading. I was like, this thing is cheap, it's slow. It was the slowest stock of all time back then. And it had so much volume and outstanding shares. I got involved with this trade. It was around like 2017 or 2016 here. It made a run up already. And I was, I had an account with a friend at the time. And hey, you never want to mix business with friendship. And I didn't know that back then, but basically, that kind of affected things down the line, unfortunately. More or less, though, we both liked the thought of AMD, myself and my friend, and we went through the research. I read up on some due diligence, a couple articles I was loving on. So saying that AMD is the future, it's going to be competing with NVIDIA, blah, blah, blah. Well, it did compete with NVIDIA because the thing ended up going up to $100 or $220 as high as.
Yeah.
But even back during COVID times and after, it topped off at 165 or so. So I was in this from $11, I think, or nine or $11, and it ran up to 15. Things were great at the time. And all it took was one bad earnings report. And it wasn't even bad. It was actually, they said in line, but the street wanted way more, probably because of the run up. They're like expecting like, oh, they're going to blow out earnings and continue. So, hey, this was probably year 2 or 3 of me being in with CTU. So again, with day trading, I knew a couple things, but this was my first real swing trade, holding on and investing for a while. Long story short, I wiped out all my gains aside from like a few $100, and I never got back in. And with that, I was right all along. And if I did hold on, as I said I was going to for 5 years, it actually moved up all the way up towards, as we had said, 160 or so.
Yeah, they came out with that really good chip. I remember it all really started a lot when they did the video cards, the gaming cards, and they were getting crazy money, and they were competing against NVIDIA on their video card. I don't know if anyone here follows gaming, but like, think about those things were going. You were buying them for like 1,100. And it was selling on eBay for like $3,000. I remember, during Christmas time, and you couldn't even get them. They built such a good hype on it, and that was the start of the NVIDIA run. And then obviously AMD came back to it, so it's not always that. But yeah, those things are good. And another one is what people don't see. If you look behind Josh's, was it his left-hand corner? You got the X over there, and that was
yeah.
And that was the other one too. It was X.
Oh, wait, one sec. Oh, I gotta bring it back up. One sec. I'll just. Probably going to mess up the flag here as well. One moment, but
you did. Yep, you messed up the flag.
I'll fix it. I'll fix it.
Yeah, another one that we had a lot of history. So the big thing is that you learn from those mistakes. And listen, if you're still here, you're doing great. You know what I mean? I mean, like there's so many stocks that I screwed up on. You know that. I can dryers totally. That was a disaster. There's a lot of them out there, but you listen, it's part of the game. Now, by you being an instructor, what have taught you how to become a better instructor teaching people? I mean, what you have learned over the 11 years being at Cybertrade University that made you, got you better in helping the traders learn better?
I would say 3 things because it all comes with making the product better, right? So being more organized, just in life, not even as a trader, because it will trickle into trading and it'll trickle into your job and just elsewhere in general. But, we just went over this again, not to sound like a broken record player, but in class the other day this week, we talked about discipline. And I was saying to our students, and I do this every Sunday, Actually, I just downloaded an app for it pretty recently. I'll give a quick shout out in a moment, but a nice app. It's good for note taking. But more or less every Sunday, I'll jump on and I'll write down goals for the week, personal and work. And at the end of every night, I'll check up on it. So, that is at least a variation of journaling to a degree. And it's a way to keep structured as a person. But that trickles into trading, right? The more you are, organized, clean, in general, it's going to trickle into your strategy with trading. It's going to keep you firm with knowing what to look for, taking all the noise out, blocking it, and just having a straight line, right? But that would be the first thing. But even with communicating and teaching, listening, of course, that should be needless to be said, because I know you mentioned that earlier. So that is the number one thing. You want to be a good listener. But I will say I wasn't always the greatest talker, orator, speaker, maybe before the real estate days. But then the further I am just presenting, working with students, it makes you a better speaker. And that in itself makes you a better teacher because you're going to
Mhm.
say the right things. You're going to, know what to say, when to say it. So it's an interesting question to give that answer to, but that's basically
Yeah,
it.
I always learn a little bit about you too, Josh, and I think the students also learn is that I think some of the students probably know, but you're very passionate of teaching people. You know what I mean? And you take it very personal. And the reason why, and some of the students see it, some students like maybe get a little irritated about it, but that's okay. I'm the same way. It's just that when you're doing it so long, you've trained so many people, you see people that that where they come from, they want to make it. We deal with a lot of people that have some physical challenges here with medical issues and stuff. And they come here, which is, and it's like more of a support group too, not just a trading group, but you're very passionate of trying to helping them out. And I always liked you for that. And a lot of people do see that because like you said, like you journaling. I mean, like we are very strict when it comes to journaling. You got to like you're doing it on Sunday, which is very interesting and very good that you keep yourself organized. Um, Part of the journaling that we try to teach what you're trying to do is it's very important to kind of see where did you make that mistake. So when you do your coaching and you review it, at least you can go back and like, oh yeah, I don't want to go back to that. You got to go back to it. You got to go back, got to look at it because there's going to be another one just like it, and God forbid you got to, we see some of these things. I mean, I was talking to a student the other day. He bought a stock that we were day trading and he was in another day trading room that he came from and didn't want to leave because he already paid for it. And he literally like almost blew up his account. And he was only in it because we were trading it also. But you know how we trade it. We're in and out. We're done. I don't even know we traded yesterday. I don't know we traded the day before that. I got to go back. I wrote it down. I mean, like we can go back. We can look at some of these stocks. ICCT, AREB. I mean, what the hell? Go back, look at them. See what got destroyed. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But they were good runners. Uh, Bull was one of them. Newmax, you know what I mean? All those IPOs.
Yep.
And, the goal is I know that you're very passionate because you don't want to see people that happen to. And that's why everyone's got to be on top of their coaching. You know what I mean? You do your classes, don't do your coaching right away. Once you get through the cycle of the class, then you do your coaching because then it's like, you go from there. Uh,
So I want to say with that, right? Like, absolutely, I couldn't agree more on that. So that's where, like you say all the time, like you never want to turn a day trade into a swing trade, right? And you don't want to just recklessly change your mind. You should know before you press the buy button, is it a day trade or is it a swing trade?
right,
It's very rare that
right.
you
Because one's
convert
done
it.
to design.
It's possible to do, but it's like much more often than not by so think about that by design. So like you said, a lot of us here, like for one reason or another, it could take us away from the market. We may not be able to do as much in the market or make as much money as we'd like or learn as much. So the only thing is at least when you join a program, ours or anyone out there, if you're investing your time and money, just ask, what's my intent going in? Because at least going in, if you're in a spot where like, I can't put as much effort into it all the way through, then no sweat. No sweat. We're here for you as well. Absolutely. And, we're not going to, be on top of you as much. We're not going to say like, hey, listen, if you got to wait on coaching, no problem. If you have any issues going on, God bless, right? Like I know a number of our students this week, even, right? And we said a quick shout out to a few of them. Bill, Wendy, you got Pat, his wife, you got Grant here joining us inside YouTube right now. Give Grant B a quick shout out here. How about this? Good to see you both together there. Great to see you, Grant. Great to see you. But if you are someone that is coming into a program saying, "Hey, I want to make 150,000 a year," okay, we're here for you as well. But if that's your goal and like you're that's your intent, then we want to keep you accountable for saying, let's get your trades journaled. Let's make sure that we can, review your trades together in coaching. Let's get you to where you want to be. So that right there is what I've been, kind of learning over my tenure here with you, where everyone has different intent, rightfully so. Um, that's just where you don't want to overdo it. If you're just kind of in here for fun and just a network, that's excellent. That's awesome. We're here for that. And we have our morning meeting. We have everyone here at 7 o'clock in the morning, early birds. And we got all of us there early in the morning, in fact.
It's great.
So
It's great to see those people out there in the morning that they wake
yeah,
up and I mean, and we got a couple of good. We get some really nice runners in pre-market, which is great. And by the way, anyone that's I see Kevin has a good question. He'll bring him back. We'll bring him up. But just to remind everybody who's listening in, if you have your phone with you, tomorrow I am going to be doing a free workshop where we're going to teach you a lot of these rights of the chart. So you take your phone, scan it right above. Josh has got it right there. He's pointing right there.
there we go.
Okay. Just take your phone, scan, turn on the camera, and you'll scan that QR code and just put your name and email. We'll get you registered for it. If you're watching this on a recording or anything else, like I said, the cheapest trade you could make is getting into that event I'm going to do tomorrow and show you that, because that's another big thing, Josh. It really blows my mind. I mean, a lot of people spend so much money on education and then they find out and they come to us after that and they're like, I didn't know there was a right of the chart. I didn't know you could see the orders,
Yeah.
and it's fascinating. And it just makes me so much more excited to teach those events like I do yesterday. Actually, I think I told everyone here, I just got this huge job from NASDAQ that they want me to teach all their Asian clients. I mean, they want me to make this whole video. I know you looked over the PowerPoint. And when you look at that, even the exchanges, like they know the most important thing is learning that. And you saw what the title was, right? Going back to what we started in the beginning, they want something, the beginner of the beginner of the beginner. They want nothing they just want beginner. I'm like, all right, do you want me to show that? No, that's too advanced. This is the beginning and the begin. That's it.
Bid
like,
and
okay.
ask, right?
The bid and ask, just shows you how important it is to understand that, But Kevin said he lost $7 in 30 seconds and lost, of 10 grand, never traded double size of pre-market. Thanks for that nightmare almost 1 year ago. Very painful lesson. Well,
Kevin's become one of our great traders in our room too.
Yeah. Listen, Kevin, I've been there. I've done it a long time ago. I got suckered in and cost me a fortune too. So, and I couldn't afford, but when I started, I couldn't afford to lose 10 grand. Okay. I was back in the day, my average goal was making about 500 a day. When I started, you start like 300 and 500. That day I lost like 12,000. I thought I was out of business, but plugged away little by little and made all the money back, and ended up being positive at the end of the month. So that always matters.
Yeah, Scott over here too, one of our gold students, also Fausto and CTO, says trying to dial into everything you guys say and do. Incredible level of knowledge that you all. Scott, thank you first off. And Scott's like a ever-long student basically, so he takes further education outside of us. I know that, and so to have that from him, that goes a long way. I appreciate that, Scott.
Yeah, it's been a while. So what have you let's talk about the market really quick, Josh. I mean, so we've been here every morning, we're trading every morning. What do you see what's going on with this market, or you've been reading? I mean, listen, a lot of people like to come with us, and to me, regarding about the news that's out there, I mean, there is a good sense of it, but they're also advertising. They also want to say things that they're not going to really tell you about because they might contradict or hurt them. But how do you see this whole thing panning out with tariffs and the market and stuff like that?
So I'll answer that part in just a moment because it will tie into the chart. First, I remember this from back in the end of 2023. I was working with a number of students, not many, but more than one, and they were very pessimistic about the market. It's going to crash. We're going to go into a recession. I got all these puts that I'm doing. I'm like, okay, what's the chart showing you though? So we went into the long-term chart for like SPY, S&P ETF. it was just going up. It's making higher lows, and maybe it was making like a lower high, but like it was about to break all-time highs. And of course, like for every right, there's a wrong. For every winner, there's a loser. But if you're wrong and you're going counter trend, you're going to get run over. So if you don't have your stop set at least, right? So I know a number of those members, are not members now because they probably lost a lot of money, unfortunately. Like that's just the nature of it. It's the reality, right? Unfortunately, if you are very wrong, then you're not going to be too long in the market here much further. Now with that, still the long-term graph is very much up. We've exploded since 2023. We're still doing great even after the tariff thing. It's a volatile market. So as a day trading market, this has been incredible this year and from the end of last. Even if the markets go up more, it's going to still be a great day trading market. That's first. But now at the tariff situation, hey, I am no expert when it comes to, macroeconomics, geopolitical climates and all of that. All I'll tell you is this, I know that Trump is in it to have the markets push up because he does want to take credit for it, once it eventually breaks all-time highs. So I think that he's going to do a lot in his power to, at least stabilize the market, get it back to where it was. Does that mean it's going to lead to a great economy long term? I have no idea. I have no idea on that. As far as the structure of the chart goes, I think that we're going to see a nice bounce back up in due time. But hey, speaking of options, right? Like you say, to be a great options trader, you got to be a great stock trader first.
Right.
The underlying move of a stock that affects the premium on a put or call. So I was just working with a student earlier this week, and they're doing the right things on it. They told me everything they're doing. I said, all right, good. You're doing the right stuff. Like for traders that are doing out of the money positions, you're going to get blown up. You're going to get torn apart. So please don't do that. You got to do more in the money, and don't do the zero DTE. Like you do further expiration dates. It's going to become less volatile. Point being is that it's okay to be wrong, even if the markets don't go up sooner than I think it could. It's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to be very wrong though, and that's where a lot of traders get caught up.
Hmm. Well, very well said. And that's how you learn. The more you keep talking to people, the more coaching you do, you learn from them. So, yeah, I feel the same too. Listen, I understand the game plan with the tariffs and stuff like that. And listen, I was not a fan of what was going on with China, 20 years ago. You know what I mean? Like you're making them a superpower. You're making them very rich. And everybody likes cheap stuff, but you can't do business with your enemy and not thinking they're going to be a threat down the road just because you're saving money. You know what I mean? Eventually, that guy's going to get rich. So then what are you going to do? He's going to get richer than you. Then you have to deal with him, and that's where we're at. And I think that's where Trump's going with it. So the initial market is going to take an initial hit. I know we have a couple of. This is a pretty big earnings week. Got Amazon's coming out. You got Google. You got you go see what's going to happen with Facebook. That's going to be a pretty big one too because it's all about the AI stuff. But
Taking a look, see what else we got here too.
Yeah, what else we got? We got a couple of big ones.
We got Robinhood today. Robinhood's huge, at least with Bitcoin. That'll be a big one with Meta, Microsoft, Qualcomm. That's also big today.
We don't really trade Qualcomm not that much, though.
We don't trade it, but it's a huge chip stock,
Yeah,
though.
it's a chip
So
stock. It is. It is.
we'll
It's
see
like
what
Oracle.
happens
Like we don't
there.
really trade Oracle, but it is also a very big one too in that industry. So we'll see how it works out. But I think long term, I understand the game plan, and it's like whose team are you playing for? So it's just these companies are American companies. Some of them have a very big interest in China, and it's trying to move them over here. So we'll see how that works out. So before we finish up, any last minute advice that you might have, Josh, for the traders? I know you talk to a lot of students, you do a lot of coaching with them, and you're continue to do a lot of coaching with them. Any advice for anyone here that hasn't done coaching with you yet, or what you recommend, or has not taken our program before, or is looking to do it? What would you recommend to tell them?
Yeah, certainly. Well, first, I'm going to speak to the members in our Insider Live trading room first. So if you're a trial member already kind of testing our room out already, I hope that you're enjoying your time so far. Our biggest thing is customer service. So, I've known that all throughout my life, throughout just, childhood into adulthood, working for smaller companies and whatnot. Of course, from real estate into here now, working with all of our members. So you got to make sure that you have all of your questions answered and to have your trades reviewed. We work together as a team. You can't do it alone. So that from there, that's where we like to step in, hold your hand along the whole way through. Not even myself, we have Rich Lizzie here, who's been with you for about 6, 7 years. He's great with not just IT, but he's become great with the market as well and our call outs here. So, we have staff members along the whole way through to help you out. But even if this is not for you, just remember that, you have to become a student in order to become a master, meaning that for any sort of trading or investing, to be a market participant, as I say, you got to be disciplined. You got to follow a system straight through. For the person that's the jack of all trades, I feel like they're not as good compared to the person that's the master of one craft. What does Bruce Lee say? It's better to train one kick 10,000 times compared to 10,000 kicks one time. So
that makes sense.
right. So
big fan of Bruce Lee.
I'm happy I remember that too. But just to say that, that's my advice. Make sure that whatever you're doing, just make sure that you follow a straight system, step by step by step. Now, for us, of course, I feel very confident in our abilities to provide that education for you and for you to do very well here as a trader yourself. For anyone that hasn't done the coaching program yet, then I'd certainly say at least send your journals in so I could take a look even before we schedule a session. I could email you back. I could send you a private chat message on the side. Just we work together at least through the trading room. And at least from that point, I'll give you a couple tips. And then from there, if you feel the need to schedule coaching or we work together in the live market, then talk to your education advisor. We'll get on my calendar and go from there.
Yeah, that's your email. Just post it up there. If everybody wants to email you journals and stuff, have a review, definitely do that. And then once again, if you guys want to come and join us right after this and come in our trading room and enjoy that free workshop, take your phone, turn your camera on, and just scan that little QR code on the top right-hand corner, and we'll get you signed up for it. So you can come and see us if you're watching us now or this recording. And we'll make some shorts out of this. So you guys can sit back and, and watch little clips of it, and the long version. We'll have that posted at the end of the day. But Josh, thanks for being here. Thanks for being part of CTU. Everyone loves you here. And like he said, we're very, very big when it comes to customer service. I think that's the biggest thing, that you want to build that trust with them. And it's something that you really don't get with other schools. We always say that. And, like I said, and that's something why we have a passion to do that. And that's great. So thanks again, everyone, for listening in. And we'll be back here next week for our next podcast is Cyber Traders. And we'll pick up from there. So we'll see you all back right now. Let's jump in the trading room, and hopefully we'll look like we're making a big comeback in the market right now. So it looks like a good thing. So let's keep our fingers crossed for our swing trades.
Let me real quick before we jump off, you give me the time to say thank you. Thank you, Fausto, for having me on and to the chance to be a part of your company and to be an instructor here for you and to have my trust in your hands, basically, to say, or if that's the right phrase, to earn your trust, so to say, there and over the years. So I really appreciate you and the platform that you've given me altogether as well. So
thank you, guys, and thanks, John, thanks, Lita, thanks everybody. We'll see you all in the trading room.
Take care, guys.